Nowadays, adult animation is stereotyped as crude, unfunny, and heavily referential trash, seemingly trying to ride the coattails of its far more popular neighbors. Though it's only been like that rather recently. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, adult animation was a lot more experimental, throwing a lot at the wall to see what would stick. You see, in my opinion, there were 4 unique eras of adult animation: the Simpsons era in the early 90s, the South Park era in the late 1990s, and the Family Guy era in the late 2000s.
In the 2010s.
There are 3 shows in this time I want to talk about, as I believe they are the most interesting ones to talk about. These shows were released in the South Park era, in the late 90s, early 2000s to be specific: Mission Hill, Clerks the Animated Series, and Undergrads. I was going to talk about Clone High as well, but I wouldn't really call that show obscure at all, considering how much internet talks that show up. Before we get there, let's explain the state of animation before this.
January. In Los Angeles, it is the 8th most popular show on TV. Maybe it's because the storylines are fairly unpredictable. When a bully harasses Bart at
The Simpsons really changed the game for adult animation. While it wasn't the first, with stuff like The Flintstones and Wednesday Father Gets Home being a kind of test for adult animation, it was certainly the first adult cartoon in a long time to reach a wide audience and do really well in the ratings. The heavy success of The Simpsons in the early 90s led to the first era of adult animation. Fish Police, Family Dog, with the exception of Beavis and Butthead and Ren and Stimpy, most of these shows were complete failures, only lasting 1 or 2 seasons before being put down. And it was becoming sentiment around this time that The Simpsons was the only adult content that could
The
exist.
Simpsons is kind of the only primetime cartoon that'll ever happen, so thanks for offering, but no thanks.
No one else could possibly reach that same level of popularity. Until August 13th, 1997, South Park would be playing on Comedy Central and quickly becoming the network's most popular show. Similar to The Simpsons, it was controversial for its edginess, quote unquote, but where The Simpsons it was more mild, South Park branded itself in its first few seasons at least on its edgy and defensive humor, so it was much easier to target for certain groups. More importantly, however, it showed there were more room for adult animation beyond The Simpsons, which indirectly led to the second gold rush for adult animation, which leads us to our first show.
Meet a real party animal.
A dog who eats mothballs, that's stupid.
Now he has a new home.
First airing on September 21st, 1999, Mission Hill followed Andy Fletch, a 24-year-old working a dead-end job, living with his best friend Jim Cumbag, Joe Mountain best friend, Posse Tyler, hippie, and friend of Jim. And Andy's nerdy brother, Kevin. Well, let's just follow his adventures in Mission Hill. The show was created by Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein for the WB, which was one brother's failed attempt to try to make their own broadcast channel. They were both former Simpsons writers and showrunners, writing some of the most well-received episodes of the show, such as Bart vs. Australia and 22 short films about Springfield. They had both met at St. Albans School and quickly became best friends and frequent partners at the school. They shuffled around from show job to show job until they were able to land on their feet with Matt Groening, hiring them as executive producers for Simpsons for season 7 and 8 between 1995 and 1997. Due to the choice of spontaneous and chaotic rotation when it came to showrunners and producers, they were eventually let go. Considering the end of season 8 for The Simpsons was right around the time South Park was building up in popularity, Bill and Josh saw an opportunity to pitch their own adult cartoon, and eventually caught the attention of WB and liked what they were brewing, most likely seeing the potential to birth their own next big adult cartoon. And in 1998, WB placed a 13-episode order to premiere in the fall of 1999. The show was originally going to be called The Downtimes, but due to MTV airing a show with a very similar title, it was changed to Mission Hill. The show was actually pretty progressive, having a couple called Gus and Riley, and for 1999, it was pretty ahead of its time. Especially since it had shows like this. Anyway, what I think about the show? Good. Also, keep in mind I'm not really a reviewer, so I probably won't go super movie nerd on these shows. Just play what I like and maybe don't like. Anyway, it's good. It's good. It's something hypnotic. They did a great job balancing that asshole kind of dickish personality, but still well-meaning guy, with Andy. It's not really a full-on douche. And Kevin is cool clash of personalities with his nerdy and chokiness getting in the way of Andy's Y2K attitude. The rest of the characters are likable enough, not too much to say. The animation. Well, the character designs are a little iffy, in my opinion. The animation is really good. They do this thing where if the character has an idea or is feeling something, they show these effects. Is that the right word? Coming from the characters. I'll show an example right here.
Andy, you want to hear something?
I think I've seen an animated show do that, or any modern animated show at the very least. It's quite neat. When it comes to the comedy,
Penis, 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 penis.
it's pretty funny. Not the funniest show out there. The timing on it is on point. You can definitely tell it's written by the Simpsons writers, because it has the same kind of oof as the Simpsons usually does in its golden days.
Baby! This is gonna be the best day of my life.
So overall, not a bad show. In fact, quite the opposite. But how did it fail? I mean, it's about on par with old school Simpsons when it comes to quality. Well, like with a lot of these shows, the only person who could screw it up was the TV network.
The network execubots are coming! Dear God!
When Mission Hill was put into production, WB was still a new network, not really knowing what to do, which automatically saw Mission Hill as a doorway to name an adult animation network. But the same year WB put Mission Hill on the network, Buffy the Vampire Slayer
Bodacious? Buffet the Hunger Slayer?
and put WB on the map. It found the channel its real identity, that being teenage girls. This newfound identity made WB quickly stop caring about Mission Hill.
Between the time that we created the show, we sold them the show, and the time the show got on the air, was they finally found their niche. And their niche was they're going to be the teenage girl network. Because Buffy took off like a rocket. And then it was like, we're going to have Buffy, we're going to have Charm, we're going to have Popular, we're going to have all these shows, Wild Well.
And they hastily put together a 2-minute advertisement that made the show look whatever to investors. The show first aired September 21st, 1999. It was just, the ratings were just not good. The worst thing I've ever seen. Oakley and Weinstein tried to combat this by airing the show after Buffy, but it didn't do that much. And they tried other ways, but still it didn't really do much to the show. And eventually, the show got cancelled. After 2 episodes. A few months later, WB took another shot at making Mission Hill work again on July 2000. But once again, low ratings caused them to quit again. Eventually, Cartoon Network got hold of it and put it on Adult Swim. They received much better ratings, but still, the show mostly remained obscure and dormant.
Fuck that!
Oakley and Weinstein moved on to other shows and projects. Voice of Kevin, Scott McLean, went to work in Teen Titans. And as one-off character in episode 3,
Thank you, George. I'm Jimmy Briskin. You might know me better as E.
was voiced by Tom Kenny. I don't think I need to tell you what he did. The show has grown quite a decent fanbase thanks to its time at Adult Swim, and the community is still very active. Like, I was surprised to see the Reddit, Reddit neckbeard, still be active and healthy. People still very much care for the show, really wanted to come back. But I personally don't see that happening, especially since Oakley has tried with a spin-off about Gus and Wally. Due to some behind-the-scenes reasons, the whole thing fell apart. But who knows? Could happen. But at least the show went on for over 10 episodes. That's something. Imagine only having 6.
The season finales. You've seen the biggest events of the season. Now get ready for reruns. I don't think so.
Snug-a-nooch!
ABC's got brand new episodes of a brand new series.
I give you the future.
Clerks premieres next Wednesday on ABC.
Before Mission Hill wrapped up in WB, another adult cartoon would air on the 30th of May 2000. Clerks, the animated series on ABC. Based on the movie Clerks that dropped in 1994. The movie is about clerks working a dead-end job and getting into hijinks, I think. I didn't watch the movie. And it was the film debut of Kevin Smith. After the moderate success of the movie, Smith and another fellow, Scott Moister, were thinking of transferring the idea into an adult animated series, and they shopped it around, but none of their networks at the time were interested. And Smith stated this was because networks at the time didn't really see any potential in an adult cartoon. Like I said earlier, any other successful cartoon past The Simpsons wasn't really something that was common back then. And even if they kind of work, they're definitely nowhere near as popular. But then South Park came out and you know the story. Smith and Moister saw this as an opportunity to bring back the idea of an adult animated adaptation of Clerks, and sent to a variety of networks, but they turned it down. However, one network was interested, that being UPN, which similarly to WB was another failed broadcast network. And they gave a deal of 13 episodes that were contractually guaranteed, but ABC swooped in with a 6th episode offer that was not guaranteed. Why Disney? Because they were the technical owners of a lot of Smith's films through Miramax, the company they used to own. How did Disney know about this? Well, the guy who was in charge of UPN, Dean Valentine, the former Disney executive with a really stupid name, got on the phone with Mike Eisner, the guy running Disney, pretty much bragged to him about how he essentially have a big hit and the show's gonna be hella popular. Such a big fuck you to Eisner. And when a CEO calls you up for something like that, and you want a money-hungry corporation, you're gonna hunt that thing now and take it for yourself. So that's how the ABC ended up playing a role in this. The offer looked terrible, and no one in that position would swoop it. For instance, episodes weren't really guaranteed to air on the network, meaning that ABC could choose not to air the show, even if production finished. Despite this, Disney/ABC chose ways to offer a good Smith & Co., saying things like ABC being the bigger channel, and that it was a smarter choice to be on their post-UPN, which was definitely nowhere near as popular. Smith eventually bought into the words and moved Clerks over to ABC. Why was ABC so fast for getting Clerks? Well, other than shoving a big fat one in UPN's face, they also wanted something which have. While they were certainly doing better than UPN and WB, when it came to actually big deals in American broadcast, they were dead last among all the big 4 channels. So seeing how much UPN was gassing Clerks up, they might have gotten scared that UPN would surpass them in the future, and it would bump down to 5th place. But what do I know? That Clerks the animated series is an absolute banger. This might be one of the goofiest cartoons I've ever seen. I was first introduced to it by Rebel Taxi's video, and instantly got hooked. I promise I'm very passionate, again I have a pretty terrible voice. No. The show is pretty much the same as the movie, just TV format, at least I think. Again, I've never seen a Clerks the movie. It's more zany and cartoony. This show was much more focused on comedy compared to Mitchell Hill, which was ultimately being just a more funnier show in my opinion. His characters are pretty straightforward. I'll tell you the most responsible one. Well, I know it's the more goofy and stupider one. There's Jay and Silent Bob, and they're really funny and have really great moments. Perhaps my favorite being the ending of the entire show. Spoilers? With Dante and Wando get stuck in some cartoon drawing fuckery, and the ending shows that it was Jay and Bob doing it.
Welcome to the 3-hour version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Ain't I a stinker? Nugga nugga nooch!
That and these after-school PSAs they do.
Word.
The show's art style is also a groove. It has that late 90s Cartoon Network style that I really go down with. Character designs look really good. One last thing that shows music design. Again, it's just great.
Take them away.
Everybody disco dancing! Lots of fun, good time for all! I'm having very good time!
I can't get super deep into it, like I said before, I'm not really a movie analyst, whatever, but it has that shazam, a pow factor to it. Like, I'll show some examples. Anyway, the show's great. Like, not a single joke that made me put off a pissed off face. Like, it's great. Too bad the ABC executives didn't really agree with me. There's a reason why the show ended with this clip.
Welcome to the 3-hour version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
So, on August 16th, 1999, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire aired, crushed it in the ratings, and this made ABC the talk of the town, meaning that Clerks wasn't really necessary at all anymore, it just needed to be put down. But it's already in development, so they're not gonna, whatever, we'll just sabotage it, development, said ABC. and the show got cooked. The show got group tested with a bunch of old people who didn't get it. Even worse is that it was tagged in a completely different show during the group testing. Then ABC started messing with the show, such as giving them a big list of do's and don'ts. They were pretty much forced to put in the dumb warning screen and telling people to watch with caution, like there were some dead bodies or something. Not so offensive. The show was just offensive. Like the show was gonna keep watch with caution. Like don't start saying anyway or something. But it really wasn't that bad. Not to mention, ABC demanded the celebrity they made from episode 3, which I don't really know the name. I don't know who it is. No care. Search them up. To be casted in the movie in the goddamn show. Unlike Mission Hill, they tried to promote the show a bit more, but still, promotion wasn't anything to write home about, and it felt like any other "look at this" ad you see the broadcast network. They came to air on May 31st, 2000, and the 4th episode aired. Then the first one made a production. Then the second one was aired a week later, which is kind of a problem considering both episodes have some jokes that arrived from episode 1 and 3. After that, they dropped the show from the schedule, leaving only 2 out of the 6 episodes aired. After all that, the show became obscure, but not forgotten. Clerks animated series was already based on a semi-popular movie, so that little audience from the film was able to be there to watch it. The show would also be released on DVD a year later, including unreleased episodes, so that brought the show to a new audience of people. Shut the fuck up. A new audience of people who didn't really catch shortly after, Comedy Central, the South Park people, would air all the show in its entirety. And Adult Swim would follow up on that a year later in 2008. Take a drink anytime Adult Swim is brought up in any of these forgotten adult cartoon videos. Anyway, the show has grown a pretty big fan base. Well, decently big fan base. The weather seems pretty empty. Yes, that was my only spectre to see if the show was still popular or not. The franchise itself would continue with 2 sequels and a spin-off, but the animated series never truly died off. Clerks DVD released in 2004 showed the deleted scene of Dante and Randall at a funeral, and the gradually screwing things up. However, one thing was different. It was animated, in the same style as the animated show. There was also a short pilot made to show off a potential Clerks straight-to-home DVD movie called Clerks Sellout. Do some behind-the-scenes stuff that just never happened. Well, it kind of seems like Clerks anime series is kind of dead for the foreseeable future, which sucks because the show was just a banger. But hey, at least the movies will do, right? I don't know, man. I don't care. Before we get to the last subject, I want to promote my new indie cartoon. Drum rolls, please. It's called Digital Has Been Murdered Virus. It's put on Kickstarter. Anyway, the last show is Undergrads, which out of all these definitely has the most interesting story, to me at least. It might be hard to believe now considering the current state of MTV, but there was a time when they were considered cool epic with their music videos and their cartoons such as Beavis and Butthead. And they were at the absolute top of the game in the 80s and 90s, and inspired a lot of teens growing up around that time. Speaking of cartoons, Animation Magazine was a subscription you can subscribe to and read up on all sorts of animation stuff. You can tell this before the internet, so there's no reason to buy that now. So what does this have to do with MTV? Well, Animation Magazines used to set up these yearly contests where they commission the fans to make their own homemade cartoons. Essentially indie cartoons, you could say. I guess. And the 1997 one was sponsored by MTV back when they still pro animation. This time they ordered their participants to do pencil animations on their characters or OCs talking to the camera, talking about themselves. The winner would win $5,000 and the potential to turn their cartoon into an actual show on MTV. That'd be very useful nowadays, animators in the modern landscape. Anyway, a lot of people washed off to make their own cartoons, one of them being Pete Williams, our main protagonist, and he decided to base his project off his homies, more specifically his 3 best friends, and himself. And honestly, for a cartoon made by an 18-year-old, by themselves in the late 90s, not too bad. Anyway, he sends off to MTV, and considering he has entered in on animation contests before this and never really won, expecting this to be kind of the same, but unbeknownst to him, due to everyone besides him not following the rules correctly, he ended up winning by default with his mother breaking the news to him over the phone.
and it sounded like she was on the verge of tears. And I really thought she was going to tell me that like someone in our family had just died. Fortunately, that was not the case. She put the receiver of the phone up to her answering machine, and she played.
Meaning that he was potentially going to have his own cartoon on MTV. He got his cash and was invited to the studio to discuss the future of his cartoon. According to Williams, MTV basically just gave him full control to make whatever he wanted, in his words. And in his words, they pretty much just wanted the next Mike Judge, the creator of King of the Hill, Beavis and Butthead. They let him do his thing, and it did not go well, according to him. Getting shitted on by all the test screens who saw it, MTV put the show idea on the back burner and deported Williams back to his mundane college life. He went to his parents and let him drop out of college so he could work on making small pilots on his supercomputer. He ran up MTV to convince them he had something, and they called him back, saying they would see for themselves in 2 weeks. Didn't really go over well either, but never fear, because the Sci-Fi Channel, they were gonna grab it, but one thing stopped them. When Williams was with MTV, he signed a contract to MTV that stated that MTV would own the characters from the Click idea for the foreseeable future, even if they didn't want to do jack crap with it. And this ended up really screwing up future plans. When it's serious, as we'll see later. Anyway, Sci-Fi was interested in using this as a way to promote Star Wars: The Phantom Animatronics, but because of the new contract, this fell through fast. But this whole fiasco re-interested MTV to bring back the project, but this time gave Williams a little less creative control, giving him some writer friends to help him out, and this led up to the Click. Later changed to Undergrads due to some other show having that same name. Anyway, Undergrads follows Nitz, so average everyman with his 3 friends, Waco, Dumb Jock, Cal, Pretty Boy, and Gimpy the Nerdy One, as we see their adventures for their first year in college, and it frickin' rules. This is the first show I discovered in that obscure adult cartoon rabbit hole, and I wouldn't really call it my favorite anymore. It's still a really good show, in my opinion. It's better than Clone High.
Say what?
Put it out there. The characters are pretty much dumb stereotypes of the figures you would see in college, and that's not an issue for me since I think all these characters are started. I mean, Nitz is okay, like I said, he's just everyman, going through issues the average college guy would go through, like financial aid, getting girls, and yeah. What does it make with college like that? It's kind of boring, but I think that's supposed to be the point of his character, so it's good for me, I guess.
I got no face!
Gimpy I really enjoy. Mostly for design, I don't really like it because it looks really dumb. When it comes to the character though, he's mostly just a Star Wars reference machine and a bunch of other nerdy stuff. And it's totally online character, so he's definitely the most relatable to me. Side tangent, but I find it really weird how back then, the idea of being online all the time was seen as outlandish and really weird. It's kind of weird because I'm not being internet that much. I'm not playing though, it's pretty funny. Next we have Waco, who's pretty much the bottom of 2000s college stereotypes. It has a lot of funny moments.
Yes, Rocco's gonna get laid. I just hope this isn't another dream. What the?
Perhaps his best being episode 5 of the show. Out of that episode, he tried to stop the episode on the same path as him. It shows that he had at least some sort of moral compass. Well, most of the time. Lastly, there's Cal, who I want to say is my favorite one, considering how pure he is. That's about it.
I'm mastering my joystick.
Nothing to say, just like the 90s says. That's about it. Just like all the shows, it's funny. I still think Clerks is a little bit funnier, but the shows definitely have its knee slappers. A lot of it comes down to the group, they all just have great chemistry. There's other characters by this group, but besides Jesse, who's just the casual friend of the group, and this emo punk girl, most of the side characters are very one-dimensional, like the guy who swears a lot.
Duty?
That's Jasper Johns. I just want a fifth of lemon.
The movie pop culture guy.
Owners.
So I do like this guy. The Dougler. He has a lot of really funny lines.
The Dougler.
The thing I get the most enjoyment from is how early 2000s this show is. Like, to the animation, music, technology. if there was any show to present the early 2000s, it's this one. Speaking of animation music, the soundtrack is just a banger. It's mostly just a bunch of songs from bands like the Rosenbergs and Reggae in the full effect, and it slaps. Especially Overboard, which is just beauty to the ears, in my opinion. The rest of the band's catalog has been really good though. It was also used in the final episode, which really made the last scene with Mitch reflecting on his actions on the last day of college hit a lot harder. The only negative I had is the animation was a little meh, but whatever. Forgivable, because it was funny.
I take a shower, I always wear flip-flops.
It's go wonky sometimes. It's definitely something I noticed when going back to the show though when I watch it over and over again. Anyway, that's enough of new stuff. Back to the production. Unlike the other shows, the production wasn't as riddled in notes and censorship rules. But that does not mean MTV wasn't screwing things over, far from it. I hinted earlier, but throughout the 90s and the late 90s and early 2000s, MTV was going through a transitional period for their content. It started to focus more on little garbage, aka reality shows, and ends up cutting off animation. If I had to throw my hat in the ring, it might be because outside of Beavis Head, there wasn't really other animated shows on the network that were that successful. And I can only imagine it was just a big waste of money, funding something that much money. Animation hatred is the same reason why shows like Clone High and Downtown got shot down before they could even rise up, and Undergrad is no different. After the show was complete, MTV had it in their hands, and it was very obvious from the beginning that they had little to no interest in undergrads. It was just okay, that's their kind of thing for them. But things really got worse when the show was about to air. There was pretty much no promotion, and trust me, I tried looking for them for about a few seconds. Never mind, I actually found one. Whilst I was editing. When the show aired on April 22nd, 2001, it aired the same night and time as The Simpsons Season 13 premiere, which is like releasing an animated movie on the same day as a Disney movie. It's just not going to work out. And because of that choice, the show was just bad for a spanking in the ratings. According to Williams, the ratings were fine at first, but quickly went down the second MTV started moving the show around time slots. However, the show was also airing concurrently on Teletoon in Canada, and was much successful there, with it growing a cult fan base. In fact, popularity in Canada was good enough. I'll just play the clip, I can't speak anymore, man.
They aired all 13 episodes. Again and again and again. For the next 10 years.
For everybody. It's bullshit because
Canadian viewership saved the series, kinda. There had been attempts to buy Williams to revive the series. Due to the contract he signed by MTV, that pretty much killed any chances of the show ever getting revived during this time. And for a while, it seemed like any chance of Undergrads coming back was just dead. Eventually in 2018, after a long battle, Williams was able to get the rights back from MTV, and now 4 Undergrads may be releasing the work. So Undergrads definitely having the most active development currently out of all 3 of these shows. I just hope that movie doesn't get cancelled, and let's hope it's actually good, not this. And that's the story about how 3 cartoons got screwed by channels that nobody watches anymore. Now, if you're like me, you're probably salty over these shows dying and not at least getting one. And rather sound great if they did continue a little longer. Maybe it's a good thing they stopped, considering we all know what happens when these shows go. Ever seen what happened with Clone High? Maybe it's a good thing the shows at least rest for a little longer. A possible second season of shows could be good, as long as the original creators are still on board. That's a big reason why Clone High's people didn't do too well, just with my people who didn't really get what the show was. Typical cliche teen love and assuming we were being genuine with it. Anyway, why did these type of shows die out? The second you get to late 2010s and early 2010s, these more original and sincere shows got replaced with stuff like this. Well, that was because of one show, Family Guy. Keep in mind, this is my personal favorite when these shows went away, so I could be wrong, but I am probably right, let's be honest. I think a lot of people forget about this little fact about Family Guy, considering how mainstream the show is now. But that was a time in history where the show was like Undergrads or Clone High, where it was cancelled and didn't even get any respect during its run. Just in case you didn't know, Yes, cancelled twice between 2000 and 2003 due to low ratings, and Fox just mishandling shows, and Fox just not really caring much as they want The Simpsons, King of the Hill, animation-wise. Swim and high DVD sales, show got bought back. Grew arguably to become the most popular adult cartoon of all time. Again, arguably. Top of the genre, of course people will see that, try to see that, imitate their excess. It's just easier to copy what already works, which is why so many companies do sequels now. Recently, we have been seeing more experimental adult cartoons, so shows like Underground's Clerks still exist, but it's definitely not as common. I feel like if these few shows came out today, they would do pretty well, since anything that isn't 24/7 or just edgy, this show is really desperately wanted by the cartoon community, and these shows really fit the bill for that. So what's the new adult animation trend now? I'm not really sure. You can argue it's Baby Smiling Friends or Hazbin Hotel, but those ones are very big maybe, but who knows what the future holds. All I know is that the video is finally finished. Holy crap, I spent way too long writing the script, and I need to end this recording fast because somebody walks in and sees me doing this.
No! I knew he was gonna be here! So what's his plan now?
What about your right?
Well, he's not over there, is he, Nathan?
Turn the light on.
I'm sleeping with the lights on. No.
It's 6 a.m.
When it gets too quiet is when it fucks your bitch.